All right. Well, welcome to Live from My Drum Room. Thank you for tuning in today. Very excited to have my guest today. He's a dear old friend for many years, a fantastic drummer, an incredible story, really, to tell. And it's long overdue that I have him on the show, my dear friend Jody Cortez. Just to give you a little background on Jody's playing, started very young playing with Boz Scaggs, I believe at age 21. We'll talk about that today. He's also toured and recorded with David Crosby, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Christopher Cross, and I'm so happy to have him here today. So without further ado, please welcome Jody Cortez. Welcome, Jody. It's good to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me, bro.
Long overdue, Jody. Long overdue,
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes,
I
sir.
I know, I know. Well, you were part of an episode I did a couple of years ago when we remembered Jeff. I remember you were part of that big
Yeah,
group, and I think it was a weird internet thing, but it was nice
yeah.
to have you there because I can't think about Jeff without thinking about you, you know?
Well, that means a lot, bro. Jeffrey, what can I say? He was everybody's godfather, but he took me under his wing. I was at his house when I was 10 years old, playing with his younger brother Steve Porcaro and his band. And so Jeffrey, called me little buddy Miles, and he got a big kick out of me. And he showed up at every gig and played cowbell and tambourine behind me and put me on drum risers and shit.
Man,
He There was
that's
only one of
unbelievable.
him.
I know what an amazing guy he was. What a friend, what a mentor, what a friend. And but I gotta say, he recognized something in you, obviously, when you were really young. And if I mean, he was a nice guy, obviously. But if you couldn't play and you couldn't back it up, I don't know that he'd show up at every gig playing
No,
cowbell. You know,
he wouldn't. He was a groove monster, and he recognized my gift was my groove. And I grew up with drummers in my family, and I used to watch my dad play in these big band Latin bands and big bands, and you know so we had that in common.
yeah,
Both our dads studied from the same drum teacher. uh that's pretty heavy. So, and Joe Porcaro became my second father, and he told me not to waste my dad's money. I used to piss him off. I piss him off because I wasn't as serious and dedicated as I should have been.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I did take everything he taught me, and I took it with me to Paramount Pictures. I got to work on, TV and motion picture stuff, and I was part of a sound-alike team for Paramount, and we played every style of music. We would copy these movies, basically copy the soundtrack, not steal it, but just get the
Hmm.
vibe of it. So I was playing to a bunch of charts, really. Um, but the guys like Tom Canning and J. Peter Robinson, these monsters were at the helm, and it made our job easy.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So
let's back up 1 second, Jody, because I know you were born in Miami.
yeah,
And you lived there till about this, you were like in about sixth grade, just 10 or 11 years old, you said, when you moved to LA?
yeah, I was 10 when I moved to LA, and
10. Yeah.
that's yeah. So I was 10 to 14 in LA, and then I moved to Germany from 14 to 18.
Yeah.
And in those years, I remember Jeff showing up with Boz Scaggs, and I got to meet Boz in '76 on my birthday, and 5 years later, I was playing with Boz.
Man. On Jeff's recommendation, too, right? I mean, didn't he basically
Yeah, oh
say to
no,
you,
of
like,
course,
yeah,
man, I wouldn't have been anywhere near the building if Jeff didn't call it, because I was super young, and you had guys like, all the big name guys that we love and we, bow down to, they wanted that gig. That was a hot seat, man. Boz's gig
Sure.
was highly sought after, man. And my heroes hated me. I was like, because of my tie with Jeff, it's like, come on, guys. I don't need to mention names, but they're still my heroes, and I love them dearly. But Boz, man, that experience happened when Carlos Vega got a call to do Olivia Newton-John, and so he was playing with Boz, and he decided to do Olivia for more money. And so
Yeah.
he, along with Landau and the rest of the band, they all went over to Olivia's camp. So Jeff called me and he said, get down to Leeds. So Leeds was Andy Leeds musical. Andy was a vital part of this whole thing too, because he had the rehearsal place in town and the rental place. So we'd just show up to Leeds and everything would be set up and, bitchin' PA system and all that. So anyways, Jeff says, come down to room 3, come find me. So I show up and I smell it. I smell where he's at, and I'm just following the smell. And he's in the back room smoking a joint, and he says, "Hey, man," he goes, "Boz needs a drummer. Who do you want in the band?" And I'm like, going, "What?" I'm
Oh,
sorry, hang on, man, I'm dreaming. And so it happened like that. It was that fast. And I went to Joe Porcaro's house. Jeff said, go to Dad's house and sit down with Mike Porcaro and Randy Kerber. And they went down, they hit the basics with me on these songs
yeah.
so that I was familiar with them, at least, for the most part. And
Was Mike
I
playing in the
walked
band?
in, excuse me.
Was Mike playing bass for Boz at that point?
Mike did a few things with us, yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there was another guy, Scott Edwards, was playing bass initially, and he was the guy for Hall and Oates, and he played on all the '70s records with Ed Green, and
Yeah.
Scott
Yeah.
was a monster bass player. And let's see, Randy Kerber. Oh, this is the band. I don't know if you could see it,
Sure.
but
Yeah. Look at
you
that.
see Boz, you can see me playing Jeff's Yamahas. And
Man.
there's Randy Kerber and there's Luis Conte. And Luis is like one of his first gigs that Lenny recommended him.
Wow.
And that's how I met Luis. And later on, when I was playing with the Jacksons for a minute, Pat Leonard asked for a percussionist for Madonna. And I said, call Luis Conte. And Luis called me and he says, man, you fed my family for life. Like,
Yeah, he did that gig for
so
a
it's
while.
like you
Yeah.
return the favors, man, with your
Of
brothers. If you
course.
have that opportunity, you're on it. So
Wow.
anyhow, it's
Jody,
good
that's
times.
that's amazing, man. And so you moved to LA, you're 10, you're already playing drums.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Had you studied a bit back home, or were you
Oh
self-taught?
sure.
You had,
I
okay.
was kind of self-taught, but my dad was playing gigs on the Strip in Miami, and so me and my brother already were in a band. We played Creedence and we'd play Beatles, and you know our best stab at Cream and Hendrix and stuff like that. And I was 7, 8 years old, and I'm doing these gigs on the beach with my brother in this band.
Yeah.
So I wasn't here I was a baby playing drums basically. But so I
Man.
showed up to LA. I was already playing to all my favorite records, and you know Jeffrey he really loved that about me. And then he became my favorite drummer, of course. And when I moved to Germany, I studied every record that Jeff played on, and Steve Gadd and Keltner, of course, and Gordon and Jim Guerin. And my brother would send me these notes: buy this record, buy this record. This guy's fucking happening. And so he kept me stateside while I was over in Europe.
How much older is your brother? How many?
Dean is 3 years older.
3 years older. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So old enough to feel like an older brother, but still close enough, like my older brother's 3 years older too, so it's like we're best buds, but
Yeah,
he's still my older
totally.
brother. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah, if you wind it back to those years in our teens and stuff, he was really, our older
yeah.
brother was the older brother,
Right,
and
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Dean stayed with us in Germany for 1 year, and then he moved back with the Porcaros. He lived with the Porcaro family.
Right.
And then, and he and Jeff and them got him in Boz Scaggs at an early age. Dean was playing with Boz right after the Silk Degrees record
Yeah, yeah.
because Toto went off to do Toto.
Right, right.
So once again, Jeff put that band together with Kelly Shanahan, and these guys. So
Yeah, all
old
those.
home week.
I know, in reading Robin's book, it was so cool to see where having you in there, and I don't know Kelly Shanahan, but all these people that were affected and shaped by Jeff,
Oh
and
yeah.
how he came into just influencing people and helping people really was what he did, and how all that came to play. It's really cool to see that evolution.
Super cool. And I took a stab in the dark when Kelly and Scott Shelley. Scott was one of Jeff's best friends, and Scott was the guitar player for one of the guitar players in Real Still Life with Paige and Mike Porcaro. That's where it all started. That band was ridiculous. And so we were all like on those coattails. And so Kelly came up behind that, and Kelly was a great drummer, and Kelly and Scott had a band called The Strand, and my brother was in that band. And they were looking for a record deal, and there was some interest. And so I threw the cassette at Jeff and said, "Hey, these guys need a producer." And we were all family, so everybody was laughing. And meanwhile, the guys in the band are petrified that I did that. And I said, "Hey, I took a stab in the dark, and it worked, man." Jeff said yes. So everybody was at Sunset Sound and making an amazing record.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Wow, man. And I know you and I have talked about this. I don't know if we've covered it yet here, but um, your first sort of meeting or your first entree to the Porcaro family, though, was Steve, right? That's where you.
was with my brother Dean bringing me in because their drummer was sick. Peter Rylick, this
Yeah,
keyboard player, amazing keyboard player, was playing drums back then, and he became ill. So I filled in for Peter, and I stayed. Um,
yeah, yeah,
you know, and Jolene and I went to school together. So
yeah, yeah,
Jolene and I are like brother and sister. We've been cutting it up while our older siblings, were taking over the world. We were still young enough to watch in awe.
yeah. Well, we were all born this. I was born in 1960, also, same year as you, but looking at your resume, like when you were 21, you were touring with Boz Scaggs. I was playing
Yeah.
top 40 in a club band, like 4 sets a night of top 40 music, but different paths. But man,
But John, I got to tell you, bro, the first night playing with Boz Scaggs, my hands were wet with sweat, bro. And my tech started cracking up. He grabbed all my sticks and he sanded them down and put these wedges through them with a wrench, and he goes, "Here, man, don't worry about it." Sticks were flying everywhere. I was like, what the hell? So
yeah, yeah. So when you playing with Boz, you didn't have to audition. Basically, it was on
I
Jeff's say
was,
so, and you knew him
yeah.
anyway. Yeah,
Well, that was an opportunity of a lifetime. And since I kind of cloned my drumming after Jeffrey after a while, because he was playing all the hits, and him being like my godfather, my big brother, it was like, plus, come on, Jeffrey was the best.
yeah,
And so why not try to emulate that? And then with Christopher Cross, the same kind of thing happened with Chris. Jeff called me up. He says, "Do me a favor, drive up to Santa Barbara and do this record for a friend of mine." And I said, "Okay." That's all it took. It
hmm
just it turned out to be Chris. And I called Jeff, and he says, the guy that Chris hired really hurt his feelings, and so throw him some love. And I said, no worries, bro, I'm here. And so that was like pulling teeth for a while, because 3 drummers in the booth producing this record. And all of our mentor guy at the time was Vinny, because Vinny was everywhere, playing with
Yeah.
Joni Mitchell and all that. And he was Christopher Cross's favorite drummer too. He just didn't dig Chris's music,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he did end up on a track. They kept one track, and then the rest. Jeffrey played on. He played on the title track of that record, and a ballad at the end. Is there something? And
Yeah.
I played on the rest of the record, and actually Carlos played on the track too. So I'm probably on 6 tracks. Jeffrey's on 2, Vinny, and then Carlos. So yeah, that's how that went. But I tried to record the song with them, and it just didn't feel right. Everything was navigated through these stupid machines and sequencers and shit, and it's like this one thing just did not feel good, John. So
Yeah.
it didn't matter how many times I recorded, it just wasn't going to swing. And I told the guys, I said, listen, if you guys can knock the computer back a couple notches here, I think we can make this thing swing. And they're going, oh, fuck you. Who are you? Part of my French here. But, nobody knew me from Adam. Jeffrey just put me in the chair. They may have heard of me through Boz and that thing, but I wasn't AM famous like these guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the next morning, Chris goes, you could go home, man. It's like, thanks for showing up. I said, not on your life, dude. We're going to go back. We're going to do this. We're going to do this track that we did all day yesterday. Only we're going to knock it back a few. He goes, okay, I'll appease you. Yeah, let's do that. John, the first take, man. Everybody threw the shit up in the air and go, that's it,
Wow.
It's like, if it's not swinging, it doesn't matter who's going to play on it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So,
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. It was just a matter of just taking it back a couple of BPMs, just a couple of clicks.
Yeah.
Just slowing it down a tiny bit. Just
slowing it down a tiny bit and giving it some breathing room.
Yeah.
You know, and that whole record, it's like, it's one of those records where you go, if there were no machines and everybody got to just sit down together, that record would have been such a monster record.
Yeah.
Because you listen to records like Sailing and Tommy Taylor, man, who played so beautiful on that. And, and then Jeffrey's influence on that whole scenario. Jeffrey was really special. He went beneath and he went inside. He could sense feelings. He could kind of like sense where your trajectory was going to be and this, that, and the other. And he would just kind of put himself out there for everybody. And enough said. He gave me drum kits. John, I have a Ludwig kit that he recorded Silk Degrees with.
Yeah.
Because my drums didn't show up from Germany. They were on a slow boat back from Germany when I was playing here in LA, and I got back. And Jeff says, you can have my Ludwigs. So that's the kind of guy he was,
Yeah.
And then he gave me the Yamahas. He saw me at Leeds playing with this heavy metal band I was playing with called Stone Fury. And that, Andy Johns produced us.
Yeah. Yep.
So Jeff came in and flipped out in Jeff fashion. And he was giggling and laughing, and he told JMO to grab the Yamaha kit, the extra Yamaha kit, and give them to me. And JMO was like, what are you, fucking crazy? I was like, what a drum tech hearing that was like, no, And so, that happened, And then Boz, I got the Boz thing, from all that stuff. So
I'm gonna play what I just learned the other day from you. the first song you ever recorded. And I just want to set this up by saying I really had to dig deep to find it, and it's part of a compilation, and it's only going to let me play about a minute of it, unfortunately. But this is "Uptown Boys" by Louise Goffin from the Fast Times at Ridgemont High soundtrack.
Bob, yep, Bobby Glob, me, Danny Korchmar, Henley producing it with Cooch. It was like a surreal all-star moment, and I was like, okay, here's my first go at it, you know.
Wow, yeah, what a lineup, man! Bob Glob on bass, Danny
You
Korchmar,
know,
yeah,
dude, the week before that happened, I was watching this concert with Linda Ronstadt with my dad, and we were both freaking out on Bob and Kunkel and how they had this magic glue
yeah.
that was theirs. They fucking owned that. You know, that was their thing. And a week later, I'm playing with Bob, you know, and we become best friends. And, you know,
I'm such a huge fan of that movie, and I remember all these songs. And I own the CD, but I all my CDs are packed away in a box from when we moved a couple of years ago. So I apologize that I didn't have this for whatever reason in my iTunes, but I did find it, and I'm
unbelievable.
and to play this, yeah. And so here it comes. Here's Uptown Boys with a young Jody Cortez on drums, his
Woo.
first major session.
Got style, yeah. Uptown boys make me high, yeah. Uptown boys never will come down. Well, I put on my best dress for him. Best dress. Let him know how I adore him. They say that he's something special. If I don't get him, someone else will. I do all I can. I try to understand why there's no time for romance when he wants to dance. Oh, those uptown boys, they got style, yeah. Uptown boys make me high, yeah. Uptown boys never will come down. Something in the way he walks, in the things he'll say when he talks. I can never walk away alone. Going uptown, going uptown.
Yeah,
Perfect.
man. You got to play some nice little things in there too.
Thanks, man. You know, that whole
Yeah.
bridge section was on my lap, you know, and we didn't have a bridge written. I said, let me just do this tom-tom breakdown thing. And they said, let's go, you know. So I had more say in that song than I thought, you know. But it was a lot of fun, man. It was a
I'll
lot of
bet.
fun. I was starstruck, fucking starstruck.
Had to be. You know,
Oh,
21, 22 years old,
well,
recording it.
Henley screaming at me, you know, like, you know, don't play so many fucking cymbals. Henley was, he was hating it, you know. And when
Well,
you listen to the Eagles record, it's like, well, come on, it's Henley, come on, you know.
yeah, yeah. He kind of knows what he's talking about.
He
You
sure
know,
does, man.
yeah,
He
yeah.
sure does. Yeah.
Oh man. And so from there, I know my buddy Joey Goodsell's watching right now, and he put Cinderella. I know you recorded
Oh yeah.
the first Cinderella record, right? That
Night
was
songs. Yeah,
right.
man.
Big
Yeah.
record too. And you were in the
Was it?
band for a minute, right? Were you
You know
kind of
what happened was Andy Johns called me and he says, "Look, mate, I've got 5 days to record this record. Can you do it?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I show up at Woodstock and Bearsville, New York,
Bearsville? Yeah.
and incredible studio, man, just ridiculous. At a drum hangar where we recorded the drums, the airplane hangar.
Hmm.
Anyways, I show up and I go, let me see these guys. So they had a video of them playing, and they were great. They were great live. You know, Bon Jovi got them the deal, and I said, well, okay, what's the problem? You know, and they were there for a long time, and they couldn't get a drum track. I'm going, this is ridiculous, man. What? And so the guy he was scared to death that I was going to take his gig, and I said, no, 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 I'm here for you, okay? So I wrote up charts for everything, and I had Kiefer. We attempted to record it as a band, and the guys would stop playing and flip their basses and the guitars around, and their headphones would choke them out, and it was so Spinal Tap. It was hilarious.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
oh yeah, a lot of attention went to hair and makeup, man. So that not being my particular thing, I wasn't the glamour rock guy. So I ended up doing this record, and I kicked everybody out, and it was me and Kiefer. I said, Tom, stay and play rhythm guitar and sing. Andy, put up a click. Let's go. I wrote out things, and it was just me and him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they overdubbed it. They took it, and 3 months later, the record was done.
Yeah.
But they asked me to do the second record, but Fred didn't want to give me any credit. And I said, look, guys, I got to get credit, so I got to bow out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if they would have thrown me a percentage, I would have thought else. I would have thought about it.
As you look back, yeah. And at the time you did the first record, was it? And I may have this wrong, but was it between drummers? Like they had another drummer. It was before Fred was in the band or something, right? And then
it was way before Fred. I kind of just took over on that particular record. The second record, there was a lot of shit that happened with.
Fred was
because the record president said it's not the same product, guys. You got to bring Jody back. And so they called and they, look, you got to do this, but you can't get credit and this, that, and the other. And it was just such a sour deal. I said, stop it, man. Use the guy you got, and work with it. But Andy ended up doing it with Malabar, and he used Cozy Powell. So it was Cozy Powell and Malabar that ended up working on that record.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as my knowledge serves me on that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's, and that was kind of a thing back at that time before Pro Tools where, and not that Fred, I know Fred, I haven't seen him in a while, but he's a fine drummer, Fred Corey, we're talking about, really fine drummer.
Sure.
And, yeah.
But, it wasn't what Andy wanted. And Andy was very cut and dry, man. Andy was not an easy guy to work for. If you couldn't swing, he'd rip your head off. He was Bonham, he worked with Bonham. He told me Bonham stories. We roomed together in Bearsville. So we had a week of drunken Bonham stories.
I've heard that about him too.
I'll talk to you about at another time, but I could never say it on air,
Yeah. Yeah. But I've heard exactly that, Jody, that he could be very outspoken, Andy Johns, and
well put.
Yeah,
well
yeah. With his reputation, you can kind of understand, but yeah. But man, that just another great experience, no doubt, and a big, a big selling record and a big band.
Yeah, man, 4 million or something like that.
Yeah.
I got my triple platinum not too long ago on that one, but I took it to heart to make that happen because Def Leppard was their competition, and those records were so freaking huge. Mud Lang and these guys, man, and how they use the synclav, and you'd hear stories of how these guys worked, and again, it's computer, pre-computer stuff, where everything's perfect, and so that was their competition. So I said, look, if we're going to make this happen, it's got to be rocking, and it's got to slam. It's got to be really up in your face. And, this is your competition. So I had fun, man. It was like Jody getting to play, Cinderella stuff. So
Yeah. Some hard rocking stuff. Yeah. And then just kind of fast forwarding a little bit. Did you work with David Crosby before CSN? Is that?
Yes. Yeah, I did 6 years with David before the anniversary tour, which is the one you saw me with in Philadelphia. Yeah. and
I
that was
actually saw you in
94.
Boston. Yeah, I saw you in,
Oh, Boston.
yeah,
That
great,
was a
Great
great
Woods.
gig.
Yeah,
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 yeah. What a great venue, man.
yeah. And you remember, and I remember the day after. I think it was the day after the gig or the day before. It might have been the day of the gig. You and Mick Fleetwood
Yeah,
visited Zildjian. Thanks to you, you got
yeah,
Mick there, and
yeah.
Mick had only just signed. I brought him on board like less than a year before that, and that was the first time I met him. Was I think that day at Zildjian, and then we hung out at the show that night.
At the
But
show, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but
It was so much fun, man, to turn around and see Mick Fleetwood. I'm on a riser and he's like eye to eye with me. He's so tall. I'm turning and there he is. It's kind of
yeah,
surreal having Mick, watch you play every night, and vice versa. I really loved, watching him play, and the
yeah,
chain every night. That was the first song they play, and come on, we're the same age. It
yeah,
affected us the same way.
absolutely, man. Yeah,
I was selling stereos in Germany. I had a gig selling stereos for the Department of Defense, and I used to do shows with using Asia, Rumors, and Al Stewart, I believe. There was a few records that I would go to, Supertramp, and I would do my speaker shows with these records. And I sold so much product, dude. I sold more than anybody, any salesman out there. So
yeah. Those are good records to if you want to advertise or promote great fidelity. Those are the
yeah,
records. Big
right?
drum sounds. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice
man.
big fat analog. Like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So I remember thinking at the time too, like what a gig to be playing with Crosby, Stills, and Nash and playing those songs, those
Oh
hit after
gosh,
hit after hit every night. And yeah,
amazing. It really was. That was a kind of a difficult situation because there was Ethan Johns playing second drums. He was Glenn Johns' son, and he was on the record. He played on a lot of the record. And then Crosby called and he said, "Listen, I need you to play double drums, and we need you in this scenario." And I went, "Okay." So I show up and I'm playing with the guys, and Steven walks in with the single, right? He only waiting for you, and he sits at the piano, and the guys come around, and it's one of those surreal moments where you get to see these guys spark the magic that they had.
yeah,
That vocal blend happened that fast. They jumped in, and I was like, "Holy smokes, this is incredible." And it was like one of those Latin funk things. So I jumped in, and we went the next day. We were recorded it at I forgot what studio we were at, but O. Henry, I believe, in Burbank.
Mm,
That's
man,
where we did Christopher Cross's record. That record that has that track on it that I told you about.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uncharted Hearts.
Uncharted Heart. Yeah, we're gonna play
Yeah,
that in a few minutes too. By the way, I have that all queued
perfect.
up.
Perfect.
Yeah, well, and not to take anything away from Ethan, but probably they needed a little reassurance that
Spark.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and they wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
everything was cool and yeah,
Exactly. Ethan's a great drummer. Ethan's an amazing musician. Ethan played guitar on that record. He did one of solos on David's song. That David and Steven got into a little tussle, and David said, "Fuck you, we're gonna let Ethan play the guitar solo on this." So that whole tour was like middle finger between Steven and Ethan on stage. It was,
oh boy,
you
oh
know,
boy, yeah. Oh, that's funny. Well, talk
yeah.
talk a little bit about your time in Germany too, because I don't think I knew that until recently that because I think I read in Robin's book, Jeff had said something about, man, you got to do, I don't know if it was the Boz gig or some gig, and you said, I'm going to be living in Germany, or I can't move from Germany back home yet. I've got to finish my school
Oh,
here.
what happened was when I first moved back, um, Steve Porcaro picked me up and we went to Studio 54 and watched, or they were mixing Hold the Line. So you got to imagine flying overseas and landing to LA and getting picked up in a Mercedes convertible and driven to the studio on Melrose, and you walk in and they're mixing Hold the Line. My mind was so blown,
Man.
You know, Jeffrey's playing. Yeah, he commanded so much attention, and you know, he owned his shit so hard that you know, it was such a rush. So Jeffrey turns to me and goes, "Listen, I want you to listen to this." So he gave me Larry Carlton's record that just came out. And he goes, "I want you to play with Larry." And I said, "I
That's
got
right.
my stuff's all in Germany. Everything's coming." I go, "Give me a year, dude. Give me 1 year, you know, to appease my pops." I had to go to school for at least a year, you know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
my dad gave up his gig in Germany. He had a great gig, and everybody came back because I had just graduated, and I was going to become an optometrist.
No kidding.
Yeah, I had an optician's license, and I was honor student and president of the senior class, and I had another thing going. And then Jeffrey, you know, handed me a joint and said, "Yeah," he goes, "I got plans for you, man." And I'm not kidding you either, you know.
I didn't know all that. I was president of my senior class. Man, we are so
Oh,
alike.
come on,
I
dude.
just can't play drums like you, and and I haven't played on hit records. But other than that, we're the same.
Jesus.
Oh man, that's so great. So yeah, so you just graduated high school, and he had all these like, he
He
probably
had
felt,
plans for me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's too
He
funny.
says, "Yeah, you might think you'll do that optometry shit, but you know,
You're gonna be playing drums, brother,
you're gonna be
dude.
playing
Yeah,
drums." Yeah.
yeah. Can you tell this story too? I tried telling it when Robin was on the show about you going to see Jeff. I think it was Steely Dan with double drums with him and Jim Gordon.
That was Jack Doherty
Oh,
and his
okay.
class of 1971. And I believe that was the name of the record.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so it was Jeffrey's first recording and first go, you know, with these guys. He's 16 in the photo on this record.
Mm.
He's a baby, man. So he was playing drums. It was at Valley College. It was him and Jim Gordon. And again, you know, you got to witness
Unbelievable.
genius, you know,
Yeah.
just insane pocket and articulation and stuff. But Jeff turned on this other button, and Jeffrey was leaping off of his drum seat and catching cymbals, and he would just do stuff.
I never heard that. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Well,
yeah,
the
yeah.
story that you told in Robin's book is you walked into the men's
Oh
room.
yeah. Yeah, that was on the
Yeah.
break. The
Yeah.
band, the concert broke and everybody had an intermission. So I ran to the bathroom behind the stage, and there was a restroom, and I'm at the urinal, and then Jeff walks in, he's next to me, and then Gordon's next to him, and it's like the stairs, you know. And I turned to Jeff and go, "Fuck, dude, you're the most insane drummer on the planet." And he goes, "No, this guy's the best drummer on the planet." And it was like surreal moment, you know. It's like, wow, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I What an incredible memory, man.
Yeah, oh yeah. That band was so good, man. So
Yeah.
good.
Well, let's play another track. Let's play that Christopher
Okay.
Cross track. Maybe you can set it up a little bit. It's called Uncharted Hearts. And do you remember the year you recorded this, Jody?
I don't, but it was like, I want to say,
I should look it up.
89 maybe,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
something like that. Yeah, we
Yeah,
did 10 years. We did 10 years together, and about 3 records we did, and then we did the live DVD, which is really happening. You got the
yeah,
best
yeah.
of Christopher Cross live. It's a DVD, and it was Mike McDonald was with us, and great concert. It was like our last gig together, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
We were right at the end there. So Uncharted Hearts is cool. It's a 6/8 thing, and it's kind of like a Sting vibe, and you know, I loved it. I got to go to another place on it, and so enjoy.
Yeah, and this the record you recorded in Santa Barbara that you mentioned, or
No, this is
this
the
was?
one this is that O. Henry. This is
Oh, that's
after
right. Yeah,
we were
yeah,
together for several years after at that point.
that's right. Okay, great. All right, here it comes. Dig it.
Okay.
As the sun rises, it soon compromises the safety of night and to travelers in spite of themselves. Have to push on. Mornings remind them of things left behind them. One a good wife and the other a life with no name. So they push on. Over the hills and the plains they ride, sharing the unwritten law they abide, to uncharted hearts in the silence of their own flight. The journey they measure in danger and pleasure. One likes to bluff, the other is tough on the girl. Still they push on. Over the hills and the plains they ride, sharing the unwritten law they abide, to uncharted hearts in the silence of their own flight. For the bones, the devil may care, no questions asked. Barely friends, two solitaires, meeting each other out there. They build a good fire before they retire, searching the flame for a moment of blameless repose. Way to push on. Over the hills and the plains they ride, sharing the unwritten law they abide, to uncharted hearts in the silent lessons come harvests on this brave terrain. They may run free, but they're still in the rain, to uncharted hearts in the silence of their own flight.
Man,
Big fun, man.
what a beautiful tune. What a
Oh, it was such a joy to play, man. It- yeah, I got to do my little ode to Carlos Vega at the end there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carlos, Carlos showed up at my house in 1973, I want to say. And he auditioned for Steve Porcaro's band because I was too young to play the high school gigs, right? So I'm in the bedroom next to the garage on the drum kit. So they're playing and I'm playing along, I'm like, and I hear this guy Carlos, and I'm going, wow, let's see what he's got, and then he proceeded to blow my mind out of the water. I'm well, you can't play rock like me. It's like, at least I'm more Bam Bam than you. But Carlos proceeded to just, play so graciously and so incredible. It's like,
What a monster.
uh,
Just such a beautiful. How much older was Carlos than you? So you were born in
it
60.
was 3 years. Same with
Yeah, I was gonna
Dean
say.
and Steve
Yeah.
Porcaro and Andy Leeds. They were all in the same grade,
Yeah.
same year. And
Yeah.
Jeff Porcaro, he did it for Carlos. He did the same thing for him. Only Carlos had such scary chops. He could walk into Lee Ritenour's room and lay down history. What he played on Lee's stuff
Yeah.
is just so incredible. If you have a minute to check that out, the drum solo he plays on that live CD.
Yeah. I will check that out. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard his stuff that he did, with David Garfield and all the,
Prisma,
the
yeah,
charisma stuff. Yeah.
yeah, man, yeah.
And I was a fan of his going way
Yeah, that
back,
was my brother Dean and Carlos and Landau, Lenny Castro, Larry Klimas, and David Garfield.
Yeah.
I used to watch these guys every week for years, man. And then Vinny came along, and then Vinny, when Carlos went on the road, Vinny became the guy, and I got to hang and watch Vinny for one of the first times with Jeffrey, at the Baked Potato that night, the infamous night
Yeah.
where Jeff jumped over there was a bar counter and Jeffrey jumped over it and he was laying down by Vinny's feet, watching his feet,
Yeah. Yeah. That
fixing
Vinny
his
tells
hi
that
hat as
fixing
well.
his hi-hat. Yeah, he
Yeah,
tells that
fixing his hi
story.
hat.
That's
Yeah.
so great. That last tune, I got to tell you, and I hope this doesn't come out the wrong way, but if you told me that was Vinny playing on that Christopher Cross tune, I wouldn't have even questioned it. It had that.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, and it's
You
not.
know,
I mean that in the highest
Thank you so
type
much.
of compliment.
That's such a beautiful compliment. At Landau was playing Vinny this demo that I had played with Landau, and it was one of those 6/8 kind of things. And Vinny goes, "When did I don't remember recording that." And he goes, "When did I record that?" And Mike said, "No, man, that's Jody Cortez."
See, all right, yeah,
you know, but there's no comparison. I mean, maybe on a groove sense, and maybe how we feel stuff, perhaps. But if I had his technical fucking stuff, I would be on fire. But that's him, man.
yeah,
And
yeah,
God bless him, man. There's no one like Vinny.
yeah, yeah.
There's no one like him.
He's from another planet. Yeah.
I'm more of a raw dog. I'm like Keltner. It makes me crack up. Keltner, Jeff and I used to hang out and just laugh and play backgammon and listen to Keltner. And, he was Jeffrey's favorite. Jeffrey was like a little kid around Jimmy,
Yeah, the Jedi Master.
Yeah,
So,
man.
so Jody, let's talk about what you've been doing with your children's books too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. I got 3 children's books that I kind of brought back to life when my parents went off to heaven. Both being educators, they had these characters that they created. And Pixar grabbed it and got an Oscar for it. They kind of
wow.
stole it. In other words, there was a guy that grabbed our stuff. He did a business plan for us and he went behind our backs, and later
Oh
on
man.
Pixar took it. But I have the superheroes. I have the the love waggles, and that's not the eagle waggles, which is the emotional characters. And so I got Cosmos True Light, right? He's the wise old owl,
Yeah.
and he can hone in and see, how's Johnny doing? Okay, Johnny's got a gig coming up and he's not sure how he's going to pull it off. Let's send over Beam the Love Waggle and give him some props and tell him, say these words, John. I'm me and I'm fine the way that I am. And that's what the whole thing is about these books. It goes
Ah,
back
I love it.
to self-assurance, self-love. John is about an autistic kid who's my friend's brother. It's kind of like a real story. Um, so it embraces love, man, and embraces uniqueness and
Beautiful. Yeah.
all of those things, So you can find them at Barnes and Nobles and Amazon, but just punch my name in, Jody Cortez, and the books will come up.
Okay. And I'll put a link and when we put this up on YouTube, I'll put links in there too to help people.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, it's just
find it.
thelovewaggle.com. One word, thelovewaggle.
thelovewaggle.com.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
beautiful. And is that something, is that kind of what you're spending a lot of your time on these days? Or
I'm spending a lot of time on that, of course, if somebody were to call me and say, "Hey, let's go down the road," I would jump on it. But over the years with raising kids and dogs and stuff, so I'm at a place now where I got all my time putting into the books, and I do the occasional country club gig out here in the Palm Desert and Palm Springs area, and that's happening. And then, but I have a doll that's attached, which is the Love Waggle, and I have an end game with that being at every hospital, every children's ward. I want the doll in every ward, so that every kid has a Love Waggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a constant reminder that you're loved. So
That's beautiful.
that's what I'm up to, Johnny.
I love it, man. That's beautiful. Well, what do you say we play one more tune and we'll kind of
Far out.
we'll wrap things up. And I've got a couple of tunes queued up, and I'll let you. It's dealer's choice. I've got "Wishing Well" queued up, another Christopher Cross tune, and "Headed for a Heartbreak," Stephen Crane.
Wow. Put on Stephen Crane, man. That was Steve Lukather and Jay Winding produced that record. And I was a youngster. In fact, Stephen Crane's daughter, Cherie Crane,
Yeah.
is who I wrote the Love Waggle story around.
Oh,
Because
fantastic.
she was called the Miracle Baby. She was born with her heart outside of her chest. And so UCLA did a lot of work to keep her around. And so I would go to the house and listen to tracks in demo form. And I'd see this little girl and she would see me, and we were like old soulmates, old loves, And so anyways, we do this record, and it's a really good record, man. A&M shelved it at the time because how labels were doing that. They'd pick one act. I think Janet Jackson got all the attention that year, But anyways, it's a good record. It just recently got picked up in Europe somewhere. Some record label got in touch with Steve and said, "Look, man, this is our favorite record, rock record of the 80s." So that was a huge compliment. So there you go. I mean, that was the first single,
Yeah.
Headed for a Heartache.
Isn't that, I was just going to say too, just a comment about the music business, that you know all too well how all that stuff works, like, and I don't know, but they could have spent $1 million making this record back in those days. They spent that kind of bread, and then you'd see them either shelve it to write it off as a tax write-off,
All
as a
the time.
loss. Yeah.
All the time.
Or just blow it as far as the promotion, like have a great product that they could sell if they just put a little backing behind it,
Yeah. Oh, for sure, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
So many.
And then there's all the opportunities that have come and gone that you're going, shit, I should have done that. When Bryan Adams called, when Bryan was putting his band together after he did his first record, he called me and he said, "Put my band together through Foster." And I was with this stupid rock band, Stone Fury.
And
And
you probably thought this is going to happen, and yeah,
I did. I
yeah,
did. And it kind of, I ended up on the skirts on that one, and I ended up with Boz. So that's
yeah,
my career kind of took a turn, and I went down that road for a while. So
yeah. It's all worked out though, Jody. And I want to say this now because I don't want to forget to say it after we play this tune. But you were such a beautiful soul. You're
oh
just,
man, John, I
it's.
love you, man.
I love you too, brother. And anybody who ever comes in your orbit immediately feels that. I felt that the first time I met you 40 years ago, like that. Yeah.
Likewise, brother. I see you as the same, all loving, all giving. You are so many people's hero, John. Because of
Thank
the
you.
love that you bring, and your knowledge. There's no one like you, man.
Oh,
Thank you, bro, because you represent us all, and you're one of us, man. So,
thank you, brother. All
all
right. Well,
right,
all right. Sit tight. We're going to play this tune. Here it comes. Headed
beautiful.
for a heartbreak. Yeah. Stephen Crane. Here we go.
Wake up and think that you're dreaming life away. 'Cause you never listen to a single word I say. And I know what you're doing. Baby, you're not really fooling anyone. I've heard the most of your brain.
Gate City.
Yeah, yeah.
It choked out all the hi-hats and everything. That snare was just owning the planet, you know.
Well, that was definitely like a sound of,
Yeah.
of that period, but yeah.
Well, and then there's Wishing Well. That was kind of my ode to Charlie, and you know, that was a Christopher Cross thing. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the Gates, they had worked them out by that time, so it's more of a rounded drum sound.
Well, let's listen to a couple seconds of that too. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
that right here. This is
Yeah.
Wishing Well, Christopher Cross. Here we go. Yeah.
In this land of accessories, the obsolescent sheen, like so many fools before us, lost in dreams. What's behind the curtain? The dinette or the stove? Such important choices to satisfy the soul. Take it on down to the wishing well. Make a wish to stop you wishing, 'cause you just can't tell. Oh, take it on down to the wishing well. Make a wish to stop you wishing, 'cause you just can't tell. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up. The power of suggestion, tabloids and the tube, muscles and money, tits and glory. What's your story? Are we so unhappy being what we are? Sly told us a long time ago, everybody is a star. Take it on down to the wishing well. Make a wish to stop
Yeah.
wishing,
Man.
'cause you just can't tell. Oh, take it on down to the wishing.
Man, that is just,
It's swinging, right?
oh, it's, yeah, grooving.
I love
like
that
mad.
track, man. I
Yeah.
love that track.
Be
At,
sure
at O. Henry,
Yeah.
that recording studio. Yeah.
Sounded great. I'll be sure to put all this information in there and direct people to where they can listen to this music.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Jody, brother. Man, I'm so glad we got to do this today. It's been such
Me
a pleasure to
too.
hang with you, brother.
Oh man, what a gas! And we'll circle back, in the future. If you and I will talk and pick and choose any kind of stories that we want to talk about,
Yeah.
in depth. So
All right.
there's so many of them.
Thank you for being here, my friend.
Thank you, bro.
Big hand for Jody Cortez, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Thank
We'll
you,
see
everybody.
you soon.
Big love, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the shirt, Johnny.
Hey, everybody. John DeChristopher here, and I want to thank you for watching and listening to Live from My Drum Room. And I'm excited to tell you about my new Live from My Drum Room t-shirts. In fact, I'm wearing one right now. Made of 60% cotton, 40% polyester, a really soft cotton blend. I'm wearing a size medium, and you can have yours for $25, including shipping, in the contiguous US. I will give you my Venmo information, which I'll also include in the description. There's my Venmo information, and you can email me at livefrommydrumroom@gmail.com with any questions, and that will also be in the description. So get your shirt while they last. They're available in extra small to double XL. So once again, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, thanks for subscribing, and don't forget to pick up your Live from My Drum Room t-shirt. See you soon. And remember, no drummers are harmed on any show. All right, well, that's my show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done that already. And the podcast is available on all the podcast platforms, so download it. And remember, no drummers are ever harmed on Live from My Drum Room or Track Talk. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. All right. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again real soon. See ya.